Joining us on Big Game Talk, it's Andre, Mr. Highlight Ewell. Andre, thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Granted that my forehead looks pretty big on me.
Man. Everybody's forehead looks big on Zoom, man. It's the curse.
Okay, there it is. Reason why they call it Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, congratulations on your last win against Irwin Rivera. Can you just detail a little bit of the game plan going into that fight?
Game plan is simple. It was punching him hard in the face. Yeah. Hey, granted, nothing but points or shout out points to Irwin. Dude had heart, chin. Mm-hmm. Granted, with the explosive fighting ability and just bad matchup, I guess you could end up sitting there stating. Mm-hmm. And kind of go with me. I have like a lot of advantage, so it just comes down to that whose skills is better. And at the time, it's mine. So There you go.
Now, while you were in the octagon, anything from Rivera surprise you, or were you comfortable the whole way through?
I was comfortable all the way through. And I know, granted, like my corner, they sometimes get nervous, like keep your hands up, or you let them hit you with the little Superman punch. But truth be told, the first Superman punch, it was one of those you can end up timing that or just step away. But my guess you could say game plan of that one was turn at the last second and punch the shit out of him.
Yeah.
I allowed to curse. There was a curse word. My bad.
No problem. No, let it rip.
Fine.
Let it rip.
Okay,
we're doing pay-per-view rules.
All right, then good. That's good. Yeah. So I basically was take the first blow, kind of end up shelling up and countering off, or take the first blow and just hit the shit out of him right then and there. Yeah. So it was basically take and rip. Yeah. And I know it ain't a good game plan with certain people, but I'm basically blessed with like a really good chin, and at the same time I'm very slick. So if you're able to have both of those smashed together is what you get with me. So I kind of can get away with certain things. I'm not saying everybody can, but I can.
Fair enough, awesome. Man. And now with this, as it's in the COVID times, like there was no fans there. What was it like fighting in front of no fans?
See, I had this like question not too long ago, and I had to like write it. So best way I could explain it with like the no crowd thing, it's kind of like if you walk into a club, right? And just picture the DJs playing all types of music, but no one in the club is dancing. It's like that.
That's a great analogy.
That's great.
It becomes awkward. So that's how it is. We're there, and it's either someone's gonna start dancing, or you're just gonna be sitting there in a club with nobody moving. So I guess you can place it just like that. So that's how it literally felt.
Yeah, very odd. Very odd. Now, could you hear the commentators?
That I couldn't. Just practicing. My corner was yelling, and his corners were yelling. And granted, if I was able to hear him, I probably would have been holding a full conversation with the commentators. I'm actually winning this. He didn't touch me, or something in like that. So I'll be that type. If you start talking to me, I'll literally start talking to you.
Could you hear your own corner a lot better than normal too?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially the cussing me out and someone telling me to kill him. You can hear everything. So
were you able to pick up anything from his corner?
His corner was granted, like when he ended up landing like a leg kick, it was like, yeah, just like that. And, and it was kind of like, you keep kicking, I'm just gonna constantly keep punching, So there's something like similar. It's one of those things, like the corner or the fighter hears everything the corner says, so you already know they're like alert. Yeah. And at that time, I know he was alert, but when you're faster, it doesn't matter. When you're quicker, it doesn't really matter.
Now, COVID. Everybody's talking about COVID. We got to ask, how did all this stuff going on affect your training? Were there new protocols in place? Was it business as usual? Like, how was that going into the fight?
Truth be told, it's like the part that ended up bothering me, because like normally, like I like to end up doing work with my brother. Granted, he's not in the corner, but it's between my cousin or him. They'll like switch back and forth and whatnot, but it's just been my cousin majority of the time. But on the week of the weight cut, the fight and everything, the week of the fight, I always end up working with my brother. This time I did work with my brother, but the thing about it is I had to wait till quarantine ended, or us being quarantined for like 24 hours. And then I was able to like walk across the way to work with them, but then I had to come back just to end up cutting weight again. So I guess you could say like that could be awkward But
Mhm.
it all kind of depends if you're having a bad weight cut or a good weight cut. And luckily, that fight camp, I had a good weight cut, so I wasn't really like bothered by the situation. But it's always like people don't end up understanding. For fighters, it's always about being comfortable, you know.
Yeah.
And when you're comfortable, it turns into you either adapting if you're not comfortable, you know. But with my brother there, my cousin, and then my two corner people, you know, I'm comfortable. So it ends up flowing in that direction. So regardless of the situation, I was still able to get my brother out there, and it ended up working, you know. So I was comfortable in this whole COVID type situation.
Yeah. Were you worried with the new rules that it would force a bad weight cut?
Then no, just because it was in the summer, you know. So like even like me cutting, or me normally would cut 2 pounds in a day. With how hot it was, it made me cut 4 pounds in a day. So my weight cut was basically phenomenal. Like, you know, it was like already off the chain for me. So I was good.
That's good. Did the UFC do enough during the week of the fight too to make you feel safe? Because all the people coming together from different parts of the country, did you feel safe with the COVID and everything?
I can go ahead and say, yeah, just like this in like they did what they could, you know. And at the end of the day, it's really reality is if you come in contact with somebody else that honestly has it, that's how you're gonna end up, you know, receiving the whole situation. And they did their job to keep everybody that's actually in the place away from people. So anybody that did come in was all getting tested, and if you end up hot or anything, you got to go, you know. So they definitely did their job.
Yeah, and the whole sports world should be watching, because the UFC has done a phenomenal job with all the COVID stuff. Now moving on, looking to the future, who do you want to fight next? Now we saw your Twitter, so we have a feeling of what you're going to say, but we'll let you say it here yourself.
Okay. As of right now, granted, I know who you guys are going to talk to. I'm going to put him second, but the first one, as always, is going to be Derek Lewis. I want to fight Derek Lewis. That's who I want. All right. And I'm 100% about that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's joking. I'm serious. I want to fight Derek Lewis. Me and him got to throw some hands, you know. But we're talking like in my weight class and not me moving up. We're talking about, you know, Casey Kenny. That man, you know, he gets nothing but like mad points from me. You know, him and Wood, like definitely want to rematch with Wood, but you know, Casey is the hot topic at the moment. He beat him, and I know one information that he ended up having in one of his fights that I came and watched, and it was actually the card versus Cormier versus it was Cormier number 2. Forgot his dang name already. I don't know why. There you go. So it was number 2. So I was watching it. We were there. Me and my brother were there. Casey ended up fighting, and the key words that came out of his mouth was, "Hey, give me somebody that's down to throw hands." And it's like, I'm the perfect person that likes to throw hands. You know, I'm always down to throw. But again, if it's not him, again, you got that whole 1 through 15. So that's all. That's all I'm honestly asking for is all those people that can all get it, you know. At the end of the day, I'm aiming to be number 1. So to be number 1, I got to fight everybody that's in front of you or in front of me. And they got me like ranked in 27 in the world on the like UFC Matrix or something like that. And Casey I'm 27. I believe Casey's number 26/25. Like, you know, so I think we got to make that happen.
Before I ask about the Kenny fight, I got to ask, what's the beef with Derek Lewis? Why do you
Derek
want that?
Lewis? So my last or not my last fight, but my fight on John Jones card versus Reyes. So, you know, like I said, none but love is always respect to all fighters. But him, I was in a weight or the weight cut silent little seat thingy, right? And I was in there, I was just cutting. They walk in. Granted, they didn't see me, I guess. Cause I guess I blended in with the goddamn the seat, right? So they all come up in there. I'm basically the lightest person up in there. All of them in there drinking soda, eating Skittles. You feel me? Someone had a Snickers in there. I think my man had he had Skittles or Starburst. It was Starburst. Or granted, it could have been Skittles. It was one of the two. Cause I know it was like one of those. It was rainbowy colored stuff that's happening in there. And all you hear me in the background. Also, y'all just gonna be up in here eating in front of me like that. And, you know, and it's like the day before weigh-ins, and like, you know, it's like, oh shit, you scared me. But you know, we like laughed about it, but it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to get y'all back. Granted, like, you know, I'm cutting weight, so it couldn't do much. You feel me? But number love, but me and him gotta throw hands for the bucket of chicken because I want the chicken contract that he got.
That's awesome. So how soon do you want to fight now? Like ideally Casey Kenny, but anybody, how quick do you want to get back into the octagon?
If they can. Obviously, if they say I can fight tomorrow, it'll be yes tomorrow, but probably 2 weeks in the beginning of November, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I could end up making that happen. That would be nice. Regardless of the situation, I would like to fight. They know that I want to fight 2 more times by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to turn around and fight on Connor's card.
Okay.
In Dallas, Texas, at that stadium, just because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Cowboy fan, so I feel like that's a perfect fit for me.
All right,
Yeah.
nice. Now, you're going back to your win against Rivera. That was a split decision win. Me and Brad were just shocked when we heard that was a split decision. We thought you clearly won that fight. What was going through your head when the judges were reading out their scores?
I can go ahead and say, put like this. You can say that I was nervous. I felt like I definitely won,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one of those situations because, like, it's practice what you preach type thing. And my eyes is don't leave it up to the judges.
Yeah.
So if you end up getting robbed, it's one of those you kind of have to bite the bullet because at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, it is only opinions that matter is the 3 judges around that cage.
Mm-hmm.
That's period. No matter. So
Yeah.
you go up in there beating the shit out of somebody, and a dude gets 1 to 2 takedowns. If those judges are more influenced in the fact is or more cited on the fact is wrestling, you lost the round.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter how you end up looking at it, you lost the round. And we could be like all striking coaches and be like, or striking type of mindset and be like, oh no, he won because he ended up throwing 50 punches and he landed 30 of them. And the other one didn't throw nothing but take them down and hold them. At the end of the day, it's what the judges end up seeing. It doesn't matter what we think or whatnot. So if they would have gave it to him, hey, it is what it is. All I know is I left it to the judges and I should have done my job and finished. And that's always why I always end up apologizing to my, to the fans, because I know if I finish the fights, we got nothing, nothing to worry about. This won't even be a talk, or a conversation. So it's just one of those things. That's how I honestly feel about it.
That's fair, man. And now there is a lot of controversy with the judging in the UFC lately. We've talked on our podcast about some changes that we feel like should be made. One is we feel that 5 judges instead of 3, just to have more scores, and then live scoring. So in between each round, the scores would be presented instead of waiting till the end of the fight. How would you feel about some of those changes?
Well, this is a little small argument. 5 judges, I definitely agree to that. Gives out more eyes, different angles. And then, like I said, it comes out as in that 5 more, 5 opinions matter now instead of the world, So now the situation about the live scoring, it could be a pro and also be a con. And I'm going to go over on the con. The con part is, say, for instance, you got a guy that's winning 2 rounds, right? And it could have been like really close, or it could have been him killing the first 2 rounds. It doesn't really matter how you flip the coin, that the dude's winning by 2 rounds. Now he looks up. What if you catch the person that his mindset is, hey, I won 2 rounds, so I can go ahead and run. So now by him automatically doing that, guess what ends up happening? People boo, but guess what? It's basically the fans' fault because the fans wanted that live scoring type thing, and you get one of those fighters that's just running, And granted, you might not catch a fighter that's just like that, but you got to remember if that person is dangerous, basically known for one hard punch. Put it like this. Picture if it was Khabib. Right? Khabib is losing 2 or the first 2 rounds, right? But you already know if Khabib ends up somehow grabbing you, it'll end up being over, right? So now in that 3rd round fighting Khabib, you're doing everything you can but to run. So now Khabib ended up losing because they had an open score, and in their eyes, hey, we're losing, or hey, you're winning, run from Khabib. There you go. That's how the fight ends. So now Khabib, which would have ended up finishing the fight, or could have kept it exciting. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, but it looks at it as if it's 2-0, that person might have that open door to run. And then if it's 1-1, it's a different story. Now you have that mindset to throw. So if I say open score, I think it should be open score if the first 2 rounds is a draw. Basically like 1-1, I got 1, you got 1. Then show out like who's winning the fight. All right, this person's winning, or not. This person winning. Like, hey, we got a tie match. Throw it.
Okay.
So go up in there. So now you both have like a exciting 3rd round instead of someone trying to play it safe. They know, hey, if I lose this round, I lose this fight.
That's a very good point.
Now, before your career in the UFC, you were the CES, the Classic Entertainment and Sports MMA Bantamweight champion. After fighting one fight there, you won the belt. When you got the call from the UFC, how hard was it to give up the belt? Was that something on your mind, or were you just thinking, I'm on the way to the UFC?
One, I never gave up the belt. I still got the belt. It's still okay.
I'm sorry.
Ain't changing about that. I got the belt. But truth be told, like, yeah, it wasn't that hard because, you know, the whole game plan was fight in there, go straight to UFC. It was just like one of those, if I would have fought in LFA again, it would have been fight one more time to go straight to UFC. The game plan or the mindset was I would be in the UFC by the end of that year. And I was in the UFC by the end of that year, or a little bit before the end of that year, you know? So this whole mindset and game plan was already there. So it was just befitting that I walked on, you know?
Can you talk to winning the belt, though? How important was that to you personally, and how much did it help grow your career, do you feel?
Oh, I definitely felt like it helped a lot. Just factors in the opponent that I ended up fighting. It was Dennis Piva. Today, one of my toughest fights that I had. Actually, I agree, as it is my toughest fight that I had. You know, nothing but points to him. He jumped on Contender. I felt like he did win that fight, but again, it was only the three judges' opinions that matter. Eventually, I feel like he'll definitely get in there, and you know that opponent alone, or just that caliber, as in, hey, if he didn't fight me, he fought anybody else, he would be the one that you guys would be talking to right now, you know? But he fought me, and I'm the one that landed here, so now you guys are talking to me. So again, I felt like CES ended up catapulting my career far.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, getting into the UFC, how was that transition on you? Like, was it a culture shock, or were you ready to go when you showed up?
Definitely ready to go when I showed up, because the thing is, the day I made my debut, everybody was on the factors in hidden brows this and hidden brow was that. And to be honest, I don't look at tape. I wasn't looking at tape back then. So hidden brow was just a normal another person across the way. And that's how I honestly treat and feel about everybody that I do fight. Like, you know, they'd be like, oh, he's a black belt. Okay, well, guess what? Top 15 is either black belts or two-time national champions in wrestling. So at the end of the day, for me to be number one, I got to fight all of them, you know, or some of them to get me there. So it doesn't really matter. For me to get to the top, I got to go through black belts, two-time wrestling, all national, little shits. You can constantly keep adding in and adding more. To the fact is, I got to go through all that just to get to number one. So that's why it comes down to like small things. It doesn't matter who I'm going with. The way I look at it is, you got to end up basically filling my hands.
That's fair. Now, in your UFC experience, you fought on multiple pay-per-views as well as fight nights. Is there a difference in the week leading up to it for media obligations?
At first, when I was at SoPal, because, you know, I was like on the main card for that, but granted, it wasn't pay-per-view. I was supposed to do all the media and stuff, but they ended up like kind of like playing me where they had me more at the hospital than over there. They kept like running these awkward random tests and whatnot, so it was kind of like irritating the shit out of me. But regardless of the situation, media, no media, my mindset's still the same. You know, so there's no big difference, no big change. It's the same. What I look at it is to stay busy, be busy, and when the time comes, own the shit out of the cage. It's my house type of thing, and that's the mentality you got to have, you know. So no matter where you're at and where you go. So, you know, when I look at it is, people are going to end up looking at you, and they're going to give me the chance to talk to them when I have the chance to talk. So there you go.
Now, how has it been dealing with the UFC? Like, have you been able to get the fights you've wanted to, or has there been some turmoil between you and the organization?
I guess it's like a coin flip, like, you know, heads and tails type thing, 50-50. It's like one of those, you ask for one person, but at the same time, that one person might not want to fight you. So in reality, it ain't the UFC, sometimes it's the fighter. And at the same time, it's all about that there's a lot of fighters that they're hiring and still have hired that they got to find spottings for certain people. And they, even if one person ends up falling out and you think that you might be the one that walks in, there might be three people or three names that end up walking in, and whoever answers first gets that call, or whoever like the promoter is more favored with or know more about will end up getting that call. So everything kind of like always depends on who's your manager, who you're around, if you called on the right time, did you miss the call? It's little small things like right now, if you called me and I didn't answer the phone and then I end up returning your phone call about 2 hours later, that's 2 hours of holding a conversation with somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody else could have responded in that 2 hours. So the time that I do respond, it's already too late. You know, like right now, I want to fight 2 more times. They're going to make it an opportunity for me to fight 2 more times this year, you know? And if it don't land and they end up having me fighting at the beginning of January, if you end up looking at it, it's kind of like the same or in the same year. And why I'm sitting and stating this is that I fought in February. I took an injury. So I was out for 7 months. And granted, I was already planning on taking like 3 months off because, you know, my baby boy ended up being born this year. So I was planning for that 3 months, but the extra 4 months I wasn't planning for. So in reality, out of this year, I only fought twice and we're barely in October. So that's 10 months. So 2 times out of 10 months. And if I fight 2 more times, guess what? That's 4 in 12 months. But if you end up taking away the 7, in reality, I fought 5 times or 4 times in 5 months. You know, so it's the number games right now.
Yeah.
Keep myself busy.
I feel that. Now, there's been a lot of talk about fighter pay too, and that the UFC is really underpaying their fighters. Do you feel like you're at a fair wage right now, or do you feel like it could be a lot better?
I could definitely feel like more money is always good, you know? Like, hey, if I'm able to get 6 figures, that's like a W, you feel me?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's always anywhere you work, anywhere you start, you got to end up building something to get where you're at, you know? And so it doesn't really matter how you end up flipping. Yeah. If taxes wasn't like a big issue, or we didn't have to pay all our coaches or whatnot, or all the extra stuff. To be honest, I feel like everybody's feeling this way is because the whole Reebok thing. Like the majority of all the fighters are making their money off of sponsors, you know.
Yeah.
And taking that away, you're only getting the initial pay from whatever Reebok gives you. So if you fight 5 times, only 5,000 or 4,000 or whatever the case is, you know. And I feel like, my bad, you guys.
Yeah,
that's all good.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel like up in that situation, that's where it could honestly be like an issue. But it's a building stone. Everybody have to end up understanding that. Like, you know, I feel like every fighter should start at basically 30,000 and 30,000 work your way up. You know, because this is that dream job you're all wishing for. 20,000 doesn't cut it. But 30,000, you can end up doing something with that. Or make it 20,000 straight up instead of 10 and 10, just make it 20,000. And now if they lose, you make 20,000. Hey, you know, so make your bonus win and your show up money, just smash it together and everybody will be happy, you know? So I know like 20,000 is better than 10,000, but at the same time, 30,000 is better than freaking 20. So at the end of the day, hey, they have enough money to honestly add. So everybody end up doing their job and you end up winning. That's how I look at it.
And then you talk to the Reebok, the amount that they give. Venom's going to be taking over that soon. Do you know if there's going to be any changes to the promotional pay there?
They stated that people will get paid more, but you know, more it could be like, hey, we're gonna give you $100. That's more. So reality, we can't say nothing until January hits and we're part of Venom and you know we're working with them. But like I stated, anything is possible as long as you end up doing your job, keep things exciting, don't stay boring. Every dollar that automatically placed on the table will be worth it. You know, you know, you got to end up make it a show. Got to be a show. That's how you got to look at it. You got to be a show. But in the situation, again, ain't complaining about the whole money. But I know if I was like John Jones, I'll have the right to complain. He's been in the game for too long. He'll only be not making millions where he should be making millions, you know. And don't get me wrong, you got other fighters that are just super excited that should be making well over 50K. Like right now, I feel like I should be making well over 50 to 60K right now. You know, but hey, at the end of the day, I just gotta let my hands show that that's how much I'm worth.
For sure. Now you talked a little bit before about your weight cutting too, how much you cut per day. How far out from the fight do you start the cut?
It kind of all depends. Like right now, I'm walking around basically like 53, 54, or 52 through 54. And with that, if I'm cutting down to 35, I just need 3 weeks to do that. If I'm cutting down to 45, I only need a week to do that, / week and a half. You know, so everything kind of ends up depending like where I'm at. But normally, if I'm not working out or not doing anything, I walk around at 63. And I normally need like a week or 2 or a week and a half just to get down to basically 58/56. And then from 56, I need another week / a week and a half to get down to 53, 52. And then we go on to the process of the 3 weeks. So altogether, basically 6 weeks, you know, if I'm starting at 63.
Okay.
But if I'm already starting at 50, 52, 3 weeks. That's about it.
Now, is the cut to bantamweight something you envision yourself doing for your whole career, or is the plan to move up to featherweight at some point?
Man, I know y'all heard me. I said I'm going to fight Daniel Cormier.
Oh, true. Yeah,
not
true.
Daniel Cormier, my bad. Derek Lewis. I already told you. I'm dead serious. Moving up weight.
Okay,
you know,
so slowly, like a step at a time, right?
Hey, if they give it to me tomorrow, I'll fight them tomorrow. You feel me? No, I'm not. Definitely not going to sit there if I'm going to edge out to 45 and then, you know, basically conquer that. And then basically if 55 pops, I'll end up doing a fight up to 55. And 170 pops, I'm going to be 170. Where I look at it is, it's like long as these weight classes and fighters are down and I'm excited and we make a match, it happens. Because you never know. I might be walking and there'll be certain people that I'll end up getting around or get along with or don't get along with me just because the fact is in his coach or one of his teammates lost to one of my teammates or, you know, vice versa or whatever the case. And it might just end up building that or just I might be cool with somebody just like Wood versus who would just fight his name.
Sorry, you're talking about Casey Kenny?
No, not with Woodley. Who did you just fight?
Covington?
Covington. All right, just like this. Like right now, my mindset is to punch Covington in the throat. I want to hit him right dead in the throat. All right. And I feel like if we're in the same room, 9 times out of 10, there's a great chance that if you heard someone get punched in the throat, you know it was me. Because I told y'all that I hit him in the throat. And I know he comes at 55. And if once my name gets big to that moment, like, oh yeah, he's this and he's that, and I call out that name, like right now, instead of them taking it as a joke, they're gonna take it as an all right, let's make that happen. You feel me? Because at 55, it's no real joke because I'm actually around the corner from 55. Just like if I say, hey, I'm gonna fight Max Holloway out of nowhere, and it seems reasonable because I'm only 10 pounds less. And then at the same time, you look at all my stats and my reach, my height, my weight, I actually fit perfectly in 45. And the same thing, if I end up bulking up, I fit perfectly in 55. Like right now at 55, I believe there's only 2 people that actually have longer reach and taller than me. And that is my boy Jalen Turner and my other boy Rowe. You know, they're taller. Those are literally basically the only 2 that actually have longer reach than me. And also Pena, I believe. You know, but I think he's just taller than me. I think I have a longer reach than him. But it kind of just floats in your boat to let you see where I'm at from my body. Basically, my body, how my body's automatically like placed in the game. This is why Connor was doing so well because at 45. He was doing extra to get down to 45, but his body size was perfect for 55. And then when he went to 70, no one was really complaining about it. Granted, they was fighting people at 55 at 170, you know?
That's fair. You talked to your hate for Colby Covington there. Did you have any run-ins with him? Because you guys were on the same fight card for your last fight too.
Well, at first, there was like whatever feeling, but it was like no real talk because, you know, when we were in the room, the dude doesn't say nothing. He's like, like one of these like I don't even want to call him a monk, but he was kind of like that. He's just quiet in the corner. Like he's probably like one of those kids that probably like shoot up the school. It was weird. Look, I'm just saying it was very weird the way that he was in there. It was just like, because, you know, like if you're around me, you're going to laugh. It's like one of those things. Like, you know, everybody in here is laughing. And his ass was like deep in the corner. Like, you know, like it was like dark music over there playing for him. So it's just like one of those situations. But granted, it's like, I don't see eye to eye with him, especially like all the comments that he ended up saying like after, you know, and at the same time, you got to remember like with RT Willie, he's like nothing but like a big brother to me. Like, you know, that's like cool. I'm cool with him, you know? Yeah. And always end up showing me love, you know, it's like one of those things. So, so you already know it, like, you can't like go aside. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Covington is a skilled fighter. He is definitely a skilled fighter, but it's one of those situations on the outside, it doesn't equal what he's bringing into the cage. It's like, dude, you're a douche, but in here you're cool. You know, it's like that. Now it's like, I don't know. I can like literally dig in really deep with it, but ain't no bad blood. It's just one of those, you said some awkward comments that I feel like I need to hit you in the throat for because no one else is, but I want to do it. You know?
Fair enough, yeah.
So that's just how I honestly feel.
Now, just to circle back to the weight cutting too, when you fight at 35, when you cut to that, what do you actually step into the ring at? How much do you weigh? And you don't have to answer that if that's something that you don't want on record.
No, it's just whatever. It's between 48 to 54, like,
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm at 54, I'll come out at 48 because I'll be sweating my ass off. But yeah, so it's like 48, and that's like literally like when I walk into the building, I do my warm-ups, I'm sweating, and when I go out there, you fight and you're sweating, and when I come back, I'm like at 48. So it's like 48 to 54. So it's between that little frame.
Okay.
Now you mentioned being a father earlier, and maybe you're looking at your son right now. How has fatherhood affected your career?
Be honest, I feel like you just built it. You end up realizing things that automatically just make sense and need make sense. So, especially like, I was like in a car accident not too long ago. Basically a month and a few weeks before the fight. And, you realize it's like, oh, dang, what are you able to leave your kids, now too. Him and my other son, Eli. So my whole mindset was, right now, if I end up going or dying or me dying in the process, I didn't leave my kids nothing. So the whole situation, I got to end up leaving them something. So everything he's already doing is like his game face. I don't know if you saw
that.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's the process of leaving things. So it's me keeping my mind set to do things and be something special, So when he ends up growing up, he knows that his dad did some spectacular things. So just like that.
Those are some wise words.
Now, so the car accident that you were in, was there injuries that you sustained in that you carried into the fight?
I'm not supposed to end up saying much about this, but we're gonna go ahead and say on the situation that everybody, it was safe, no one died. I was definitely getting checked up on, aches and bruises and type of things. But the thing about it is, I believe what saved me in that was the fact is now I was already training. Like literally, I was like really putting my body through some good conditioning that was like mad fit. So when it happened, I was ached out and bruised and whatnot, but the survival kicked in because my body was like actually trained for the whole situation. So it was a win-win.
Yeah, thank God everybody was okay too.
Yeah, that's that part.
All right, we're gonna close off with some fun questions. All right, so first off, you might have touched on it earlier, but what was your favorite fight of all time that you fought in? What's the most memorable?
Dennis Piper, hands down. And I know it's not UFC, but it was CES, and that one was spectacular. That was basically the jump start of them letting me in the UFC and do my thing.
That's special,
awesome, man. Do you have a favorite fight that you didn't fight in MMA, like one that you grew up watching, for example?
Favorite fight I've ever seen in the cage? Well, that's a tough one. Oh no, ain't a tough one. It was dang, I'm about to butcher all their names, but it was Johanna versus Whaley.
Yeah.
That one, I was there for it.
Wow.
And note that everybody, or the people that was like sitting next to, they're like nothing but points and credibility to them because they were like over here buying me drinks like crazy. So I was drinking with them all. And I had to end up buying them drinks. So we were drinking some more. But we ended up watching that. And that fight was like mad exciting. But those two amazing people, just amazing people. I met both of them. I was definitely I'm a fan of Whaley, hands down, just practicing like she's like a true fan of the art. Like, it's like the first time I ever met her was me and my brother doing mitts at the PI. And she was sitting there in the corner of the boxing ring just watching us, and we were doing mitts for about an hour and a half. And she was just there chilling, watching the whole thing. Hey, let go, So, so sitting there chilling and watching the whole thing. So we're definitely excited about that part, or me just knowing her. And then Joanna, the Tampa Bay card that I, when I fought Chito, she was there. She was like cool piece. Her and my brother like kicked it off because they had like the same matching earphones. So they're both cool, So for me to honestly watch those two fight, that was like, and watch it live, it was awesome.
Yeah. That's a crazy fight to be at live, man. That's one of the all-time greats for sure. Now, who's somebody that you emulate your game after? Like someone that came before you that you look up to, you want to fight like? And is there anybody like that?
if anybody, it'll probably be Bruce Lee. Granted that he ain't in the UFC, but you know, if UFC was back then, he would have been in there and destroying the game. But definitely, I guess you could say Bruce Lee, Roy Jones, smash them together. You got me. You feel me?
Yeah.
Stylish
like
and
that.
just amazing. You know, styles like no other.
I like that. I like that. Now, after a fight's done, you're not worried about the weight anymore. What's the first thing that you eat?
First thing that I eat, I'll say ramen.
Ramen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is ramen.
Yeah.
Jenga is a spot that, especially in Vegas, there.
Now
I'm getting coached over here. Jenna. But it's a good noodle spot, though.
Yeah.
It's in Vegas. It's a good noodle
stuff.
spot. So
I like that.
There you go.
I like that.
Now it's awesome. Like we could see all your awesome tattoos. Which of your tattoos out of all them you have, which one is your favorite?
I will say my favorite one. It will probably be this one because this is like the most memorable one. It's a tattoo. Hold on. Oh my gosh, my bad, you guys.
Hey, no worries.
It's all good.
No worries.
It's all good.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a tattoo of my little toad, and the only why this is my favorite one because the fact is that, so I'll go ahead and sit there and say this. I was off of edible, and this was like literally 2 years ago. I was off of edible, right? And the people are around there like hotboxed the hell out of the car. So I was very, very sensitive to everything. All right. And so when I got the tattoo, like literally like first 5/7 minutes in, I already wanted to stop. It felt like, you know, I was sitting there for like 3-4 hours and I was like, hold on, like we're gonna have to back this up. I ended up like looking to like reschedule and everything. So ever since then, like after that, like that little process, I've been going the numb cream route. I was like, now I'm like, anybody, oh man, you bitching out, or oh, you're taking the cheat route, and it's like, hold on, time out. Like, if you understand what I went through, you end up understanding. But granted, like that's probably like one of my favorite tattoos. Don't get me wrong, like my back tattoo is like one of the last pieces I put together, and I'm like a freaking fan. Or even this like woman with the spider, because I have like stories on it, and then if you end up knowing the history, like on the Buddhism side story history, what comes with everything, it's automatically go. But that one's gonna be my favorite one, just because the memory of the story of getting it.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
My bad. Everybody's like calling me right now.
No, man, it's all good.
Good.
Do you plan them out in between fights? Because obviously there's a healing process with the tattoos. So how do you plan on getting them, like, to make sure that you don't have a fight or fight camp coming up soon?
Well, it ends up coming like just how you sit there and stated. I always end up planning everything out. So like right now, I would have ended up going back, but it was the whole thing is I was planning on fighting on Fight Island. So basically, after I do knock out my next two, and if I do my next two in this year, then end of December, I'll end up getting something else. Like, I was aiming to do my ribs, but if I turn around and go straight back to January, then I'll end up probably doing my calf and call it that, or, build up on my thigh. So it'll be something where I know can end up healing fast, but I'm able to still get back in. I already know if I do my rib, that's going to take about 2 weeks to heal,
Yeah, for sure. Now go to the start here. How did you get into fighting in the first place? Was it something you started as a kid or something you got into later at life?
As a kid. Everything was as a kid. Growing up, we were like moving around in like rough neighborhoods, and everybody wanted to try the new kid and slash. It was all like every time that we moved, it was either gangs that didn't like certain colors. And it's just the environment that we were at. It's just ended up happening that way.
Okay.
Now, what do you think you'd be doing if you weren't fighting, or is fighting the only path?
So right now, fighting's the only path because you have to do what you end up loving. You got to end up remembering that. Whatever you end up loving is what you have to do. In the situation, I tried the whole jobs of towers and everything. I was cool at that, and then I tried to go to school to go follow up to being a coach. I was okay with that. But in reality, I wasn't happy, and what I was happy with was me fighting. And now I can branch off by coaching, because don't get me wrong, I love to coach, but there's certain things you want to coach on. Like, like the best experience of fighting is that, whatever you're able to end up embracing or taking in, you're able to end up spreading. So there you go.
So when you retire, do you think you'll be a full-time coach then?
Definitely. But it'll be more than just coaching though. but I'd be part of like something, because, you know, I have to end up leading the new generation, the next generation. I even have fighters right now that I'm working with. And clearly I want my son to be like freaking amazing. Even if he doesn't take on the sport, he'll at least know the sport, you know the vibe, if I know the basics of life, you know. But if I can, if I'm able to do movies, that's what I want to end up doing. I want to do movies. So after I get off with you guys, that's where I'm about to head up, is do my little editing on this like little slash edit movie thing that we like.
That's awesome, man. And now, what's your favorite way to spend a day after a win? You're all excited. You're coming down off the win. How do you spend that day?
Just simply studying. I go back. I look at all my videos, or all the videos that that's been posted about the fights, and I literally sit about 4 to 5 hours just looking at that. You know, see what I could have fixed, what I could have done, what I could change, what I can't do. You know, those small things.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned, like, when you're talking about your tattoos, how a lot of them are inspired by Buddhist teachings and stories and stuff like that. What's your relationship with Buddhism, and how has that impacted the way you fight and the way you train?
Well, Buddhism actually saved my life, so I can go ahead and say that. I went through a little dark time, and, you know, pure happiness is what ended up changing my world, you know. And definitely it opened up the door to let me do what I love, you know, or do what I'm actually like amazing at. And even granted, like I state this, like I'm not like one of those I like to fight type thing. Yeah. But he's like outside in the streets and not trying to fight and whatnot. But when you're good at something, you kind of have to shed a little light on it. And that's why I ended up doing it. And it brought me into doing something that I'm actually great at or amazing at. So Buddhism opened up the doors. Enlightenment.
That's awesome. Yeah, you definitely, there's a peace radiating from you that you feel it.
Appreciate that.
And now, finally, Sterling's fighting Yan in December. Any thoughts on that, considering you're in the division?
Well, money's on Sterling, because Sterling should have been one holding the belt right now. I'm just simply saying he should have fought for the belt. They should have gave him the belt, title shot, the whole 9. But, you know, at the end of the day, UFC push who they want, and that's what ended up happening. But he finally gets his chance, so my money's on Sterling right now.
Awesome.
Hands down. No shots toward, Yan, but it's Sterling that my money's on at the moment.
For sure.
That's awesome. We really appreciate you coming on, and we hope to see down the line you facing Sterling for that belt there.
Hey, maybe. But truth be told, if it's the perfect line, he's going to hold that belt. I'm going to be number 1. Montel number 2, or it could be me switched where I'm number 2, he's number 1, and him holding the belt. So regardless of the situation, I feel like, you know, he's going to sit there, and I'm going to go for the featherweight belt. Bump it, move up weight. And
we'll just be waiting for when Ewell Lewis is on a pay-per-view poster, right?
Bang,
that's
bang,
what
bang.
That's what we're excited for, man.
You know, because he ain't going to know what to do with these guns. Man. I'm just telling you. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for having me. Man.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate it.
All right. Peace.
Be well.
Once again, I want to thank Andre for coming on the podcast. It was really fun talking to him. And if you like that, you can check out, we have some other interviews. We'll post them here as well. Last weekend, we wrapped up UFC 254 along with some other things in sports news. And make sure you check us out on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. We're posting out content every week.
And if you want to be like Andre Ewell and get into the gym and get super athletic, we got you covered when it comes to all your protein, all that stuff. fnxfit.com. You can get stuff to dress good going to the gym, the lightweight, the dry fit stuff, you know, all that exercise stuff. And then the protein to get you going afterwards and get those muscles back together. So all that stuff, fnxfit.com. Use promo code BGT15 for 15% off any purchase you make. This is not just a one-time, first-time purchase. This is not going to just get you in the door. This is going to keep you there forever. So use our promo code BGT15 at fnxfit.com.
Thanks, guys. See you later.